Jacob Rees-Mogg is rarely off our TV screens.
Sometime last year I started seeing clips of Jacob Rees-Mogg on YouTube being his charming self and making some very good points in the name of British conservatism. Since then he's gained a lot of momentum, or you could say Mogmentum, which is the name of his online support campaign of people like me who are in favour of him becoming the next Prime Minister of the UK. He's the perfect candidate for a online support group. Quite obvious from clips of him on YouTube that he is perfectly suited to a new age of quick sort of online clips of good debates and good pithy quotes, which is kind of ironic since he himself harkens back to an age-old time of British traditionalism in the way that he talks and the way that he dresses and the sort of traditionalism that he embodies. What's really charming about him, I think, is that he is quite obviously from the British aristocracy. He's a devout Catholic, very committed to the teachings of the Catholic Church, and he's extremely British in his personality and his mannerisms and the way he dresses and the car he drives and the house he lives in and his family and his values. And what really makes him a charming and interesting person is that he makes absolutely no apologies for any of these things. He doesn't try to hide away from any of these facts about himself. He just wholeheartedly embraces this image that the media keep trying to plaster on him of being a toff and out of touch with the common man.
The more people get to know him and his views, the less they will like him. He's a character. There's no question. You can imagine with a monocle on, coming from the 18th century.
Okay. I don't think he is out of touch. That's just it's just a nasty way of saying that he's one of these Etonian Oxford University graduates.
I used to live not a million miles from Slough with the aeroplanes going over, and I must confess they didn't prove too bothersome then.
Eton, was that?
That's absolutely right. I was at school with your son.
I think the way that he embraces all of these facts about himself and the way that he doesn't try to apologise for his upbringing and his sort of high birth is an indicator of his honesty and his character. And I know not everyone's going to see it that way, but I think that is what a lot of people like about him, is that he comes off as very genuine when he's asked questions and whenever he makes appearance on TV, which is fairly regularly these days. He's always comes across as very genuine and honest, and people really like that about him, even if he wears a top hat and kind of drives a silly car. Last year I made a video about Mogg's somewhat old-fashioned views on abortion, and at that time there were kind of rumours here and there that he possibly could be the next leader of the Conservative Party, but I didn't really take it seriously. I thought it was just wishful thinking, but the momentum around him and the number of TV appearances he's made and radio appearances has been sort of racking up since then, and I seem to be seeing him in the news and mentioned on the news a lot more than I did before as a candidate for the next leader of the Conservative Party and hence the leader of the country. Theresa May's popularity is going down, and it was never that good to begin with. So it's possible that he could be the new leader in a few months. Even he's been a Eurosceptic for a few years now, and he was part of the Leave campaign for Brexit. I think that's why people want him to be in charge for the negotiations with the EU, which really does require a very strong character. Regardless of what you think of his policies, it's almost irrelevant in the face of something like this, where you need the strength of personality to make those negotiations, and the people in the room at the time making these decisions could make all the difference between Britain getting a good deal and a bad deal.
They're a weak lot, some of them in Europe, you know. Weak. Feeble.
I started to think perhaps the prospect of Jacob Rees-Mogg becoming the next Prime Minister was serious when Sargon Ricard made 2 videos featuring Jacob Rees-Mogg heavily in the last month, and Sargon is not even a conservative voice, really, but the fact that he's somewhat excited about Jacob Rees-Mogg makes me think that perhaps that is a good thermometer for the zeitgeist at the moment. A few weeks ago, I marathoned a few interviews with Scott Adams, the creator of the Dilbert cartoon and comic strip that you're probably familiar with. What you might not know about him is that he, in the last couple of years, has been getting into political commentary, and he predicted that Trump would win the US election, I think, more than a year in advance of the actual election results. Scott Adams describes Donald Trump as a master persuader, which is his explanation for why Trump was able to convince the US electorate to vote for him. He talks a lot about how people make decisions based on emotions, not on facts, which I think is true. Not just stupid people or ignorant people, but everyone. No matter how much you think your opinions and your beliefs are based on facts, I think most opinions are based on emotions. As he says, it's completely possible to make good decisions on things that you have absolutely no emotion about, but once you start to get any feeling involved in the subject, the ability to think rationally and objectively is very much diminished, at least according to Scott Adams, and I think he's right about that. And that's what made me start thinking that perhaps Jacob Rees-Mogg's genuine, honest, and magnetic personality might be just the thing that we need at the moment, and perhaps even people who disagree with him could get behind him just because he's such a nice, friendly guy. Of course, not everyone thinks of him that way. I saw an interview on, I think it was the BBC, that really made me laugh, where they were talking about Jacob Rees-Mogg. He wasn't in the room. The presenter was talking to some conservative guests about Jacob Rees-Mogg and talking about where this surge in popularity has come from.
But in terms of people thinking he's a villain, is that because behind that all too polite veneer, as some people might see it, is there a much steelier and less likeable character behind?
No. I thought it was so funny that the presenter was just basically asking, yeah, he looks nice, but is he evil, though? I think you really are grasping at straws when you start asking questions like that. Of course, there are lots of people on TV who say, well, you just can't be against abortion these days. There's no way he can win favour with his extreme Catholic beliefs. But I really don't think, I mean, how many times did we hear that with Trump? I mean, there's just so many things that Trump said that could have lost him everything, and yet it didn't, because people just don't care. I think at the end of the day, they just want a leader who they know is strong and who is charismatic. I talked about this in my review of The Fountainhead, where I was talking about the attraction of confidence in people. I was talking about sexual attraction in that review, but I think it goes for admiration as well. People look up to those who are unwavering in the face of danger and in the face of adversaries. But what really encouraged me to make this video was that I recently found a YouTube channel that I really like called The English Eccentric. One of her videos got really popular recently, and I'm sure that many of you were part of that viewership, since her channel is somewhat similar to mine and it was recommended to me, so perhaps it was recommended to all of you as well. She makes videos about sort of Britishness, conservatism, and Maggie Thatcher and Jacob Rees-Mogg, and her enthusiasm for conservatism at such a young age, and she's so funny and charming. It just inspired me. I wanted to make a video about conservatism and Jacob Rees-Mogg, and I really think that young people like her, they give me hope for Britain. I really wanted to make a video with her, actually make a video about Jacob Rees-Mogg as an interview style, but she just made a video saying that she's not going to be making YouTube videos for a while, so I'll try and catch her when she comes back, though. But in the meantime, please check out her videos, because she's really good, really funny and charming. Anyway, that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and please leave your comments as always. I'll see you again soon.
And I have never thought that you make the poor richer by making the rich poorer. It doesn't work. It's been tried and it fails. Capitalism actually lifts everybody. And if you don't believe me, okay, if you don't believe me, look at the transformation globally as China and India have become capitalist. If you go back to 1980, over 50% of the world was living on under $1 a day. This is now under 20%, and it's almost entirely down to China and India have abandoned socialism. And that has lifted the poorest in the world standard of living. And those of us who are capitalists should be really proud of that, because that is a capitalist success.